I looked around, and then last year when Larry introduced Oracle Cloud Storage and introduced that a couple of years ago, I looked at that. He said it was $1 a terabyte a year, not quite that cheap, but or $1 a terabyte a month, but it is pretty cheap. And so I looked into it, and that's actually what I'm using at home for doing offsite backup. Okay, so my system at home, I've got a pretty large network. My wife and I both have laptops. I have a couple of laptops. My kids have a laptop. Email, calendar, finances, all that stuff. If we lost them, we'd be a mess, right? I've got a VM host that I use for lab work, both personal and work. I got 4+ VMs spinning them up and down. 6 terabytes of local NAS that I don't use for anything really important, but it's there. And then I'm into automation and IoT, so I've got 15+ Raspberry Pis scattered around a couple of networks at home that I use. So back all that stuff up. I mean, we're all good DBAs, right? No backups are important. I've had to use mine more than once, for nothing else because Windows crashed on me and it couldn't be recovered. Had about a terabyte of backup before compression using Backup PC. If nobody's using that, go Google it, look at it. Great cross-platform backup utility. It compresses very nicely. My 1 terabyte of backup before compression is about a terabyte and a half right now, but that compresses down to about 600 gig of stuff when it compresses. It reuses files. I got 15 Raspberry Pis, right? All the OS files are the same, everything's the same. It just compresses those and only backs them up once. So it's a very, very effective tool for that, sort of a pitch for backup PC. Looked at a bunch of alternatives for offsite backup. Things like fires happen, things like that. You want to floods, whatever. You want to make sure you got your offsite backups. I looked at Windows solutions. Okay, Carbonite, some of the other things. They weren't quite robust enough, and they didn't speak Linux. I did find a company called Code 42. They had a product called CrashPlan. It was great. They had an offsite backup. It was something like $5 or $6 a month for a terabyte. I use them, but they discontinued their home plan. So now that's no longer an option. And so I started looking at cloud storage, okay? The big boys are all out there. Amazon's got S3. They've also got some personal stuff. You can buy cloud storage from some of the backup utilities. Carbonite's got it. A couple other people do Dropbox. I know a lot of people use Dropbox for offsite storage, Microsoft OneDrive, Google, things like that. There's a lot of stuff out there that's cloud-based. But you start doing some cost comparisons. And the first thing is it's kind of hard to figure that out because they all have different plans. They all have different things you wind up with. But this is as of about a week ago. I went online and dug this out. Use Dropbox Personal Plus. You're going to pay about $8 a terabyte per month. Amazon Glacier is a little over $4 a terabyte a month. Google One is about a little over $4, a little more expensive than Amazon. OneDrive with Office, if you've got that, Office 365, it's a little over $5 a month, almost $6 a month for terabyte. But then if you look at Oracle, a little over $250 a month per terabyte. No minimums. They do monthly billing. You give them a credit card every month. On my credit card, a 50-cent bill or a $1 bill shows up, depending on what I've done that month and what I've got backed up. And it's got a pretty good Linux interface. Actually, it's a Java interface, so it can run anywhere. I've run it on my phone. You can run the command line processor on my phone. I've done that a couple times when I've been wanting to get something. So it's pretty cool. Here's what I've got. It's kind of an eye-popper chart here, but it's a report from Oracle Cloud. I just started playing with this back in, July of this year. You can see I've using it, and then I went back and deleted some old backups, but I'm using about half a terabyte right now. And so, like I say, on my credit card, they only, if you're under, I think it's $10 a month, they only bill you quarterly. So every quarter I get, a $3 charge on my credit card from Oracle for something like that. The cool thing is you get an SCI with that. So how do you do that? The basics: get a copy of Backup PC. It's free. It's got Windows interfaces, got Linux interfaces. It's mostly written in Shell or C++, and it's got some other little hooks and things, and it's little tricky to put together, but not that bad. If you're a DBA, you should be able to figure it out and work with it. One of the things it's got the ability to do is write zip files. You take an archive, it takes a backup, and you take that backup and tell it to write that as an archive, a zip file that's a complete, consistent archive or backup of a particular machine. Set up an Oracle account. Oracle will give you one of those for free. It's real easy to run that down. I ran mine down in about 3 days, but you know, set up a couple databases and then you're done basically. But you use cloud storage. They treat it as normal cloud storage. You can select archive, and then you get the command line interface. It's a thing called FTM CLI, and that's their command line interface for this. It's Java, so it'll run anywhere, as I mentioned earlier. This will all be in the slide decks Tim's going to put out, by the way, on the website. Some examples. They do their security with endpoint and a user, and that's why the X is in there. That X will be replaced with a great big token that's unique to you. You set that up and generate it once. It keeps a key store encrypted on your local drive, and that's how it knows who you are. A couple of commands, a simple one there to get a list. There's a list of backups. There's a list of my backups right now. There's more than that. I cut it down to put on the slide. Upload is real simple, and depending on your network, of course, it's going to take a while, particularly the first time you upload, you know, a quarter terabyte or something. It's going to take a while, but I think my biggest file is like 120 gig, and it took 5 hours to upload. I've got a reasonable network connection, but nothing really super fast. I think I'm at 10 gigs. So there's a way you can do that. Just upload the file. My file, the backup PC generates the sequence numbers you see there. So you get the sequence number on my venue there. That you see the first one and the second one. You can delete the old one once you've got it up there. One of the cool things about Oracle is they don't charge you for ingress. So you can load as much data as you want, no charge. They don't charge you for things like lists or deletes or things like that. They do charge you if you want to get the data back, though. And because it's archival, you can't get the data back right away. You better go take a look at it and say, yeah, I really want this back. And then it takes them, I've tried a couple of times with test files, and it took anywhere from 4 hours to 24 hours to get the data back where it was available, so I could download it and then do something with it. And they charge you for that. It's a real small charge, but it's, you know, a couple hundred cents per, hundredths of a cent per byte downloaded or per kilobyte downloaded. I don't know what it is, but it's fairly inexpensive. So do be aware of that, and you need to do that. And to wrap up here at 8 minutes, some resources. And again, this is available on the slides that Tim has. Lots of good Oracle docs that tell you everything you need to know about FTM CLI and about cloud and about preparing to use it. And the really cool thing is that when I signed up and I gave my credit card, I got an email and a call from somebody at Oracle. They said, "Hey, how do you want to use this?" And I signed up as just myself. I have a private holding company, a private not a nonprofit, a for-profit corporation. I set up an S corporation, and I used that as a name. And you know, they didn't know me from Adam, didn't know I was just by myself, and it's my wife. And they were actually very helpful. I scheduled an online session with me. They walked me through a couple of things, figured out what I wanted to do. They said, "Oh, cool, yeah, we can help you do that." And they set it up and did that. And you get a CSI, so you can call in TARs or submit TARs, do whatever you want to do. So it's actually pretty cool and a really good way to use it. So, you know, if you need to do an offsite backup and you got a little bit of technical skills and don't want to pay a lot of money, it's a pretty good way to go. Any questions?